So what we are doing on this video is we're going to be looking at row 15 and row 16. So we are just getting into the second section, large section. And as we kind of did a brief look at on these in triangles, what you'll see here is going to take 2 rows before we increase by 1 as far as this middle color. So it's going to look like the first block of 13 stitches is going to be repeated from the row below it, and that's going to happen kind of every 2 rows. It'll look repeated. The larger block, that's this middle block, you're going to increase 1 on each side to kind of create the middle diamond for these center blocks. So that's what row 15 looks like. So getting into 16, we'll be 3 rows into the second section, so you'll start seeing an increase here of 1, increase here, and so each and every section will just be increased by 1. Okay, so in short, we're just going to go ahead and get started. So to be honest, when you start getting into this section, it's going to seem very repetitive because you're just obviously taking 2 rows before you increase, 2 rows before you increase. It can feel a little exhausting. I can admit that this is usually the sections I try to kind of rush through and get over with in a way. Sometimes when you see the change a little bit faster in the smaller sections, it's a little bit more exciting. So don't get too bogged down. It's another way that you can kind of say, all right, I already know the count. It's going to look, this set of 13 stitches is going to look exactly the same as the row below it. So it might help, you know, not you won't get too much of the counting fatigue that sometimes happens. So we're going to repeat this first block with the 6, 1, and 6. Over to the large block, and we're going to do 10. No, I apologize. We're going to do 11 because we're going to increase the middle portion only by 1 on this particular one. So it'll be 11 of the red, 3 of the light pink, and then 11 more of the red. Okay, so it's going to feel a little different than the previous block. So the previous block, each row, we either increased or decreased by 2 to kind of create this square. This block, we're going to increase or decrease by 1. So it's going to be a much taller block. It's almost going to be double this first block because we're actually only increasing by 1. So it's going to be really elongated and then come back. And so that's going to be just something to note if you're used to, the count of 2. This one, we're going to be a count of 1. And that one will be repeated every 2 rows. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to get row 15 done. I'm going to work 16 all the way to probably this part so you can kind of see this second heart coming to life. And I'll meet you back here on row 16 and we'll go from there. All right, so we are getting near the end of row 16. So row 15, we kind of completed you can see the double up of the small section, and then on the larger block, we're increasing by 1 on each side. So 16. What we're going to be doing on the end here, I'll scroll this over so you can follow. So we'll be completing this block here and adding the 5, 3, 5 with the red here. We finish this block with 11 of the dark pink. Five. Pick up the red and we'll do 3 red. All right, so just kind of an interesting pattern here with the light peach, with the block on top of it. You can kind of see that on some of the other sections, we have a line of a color change going up and down here. In this case, we don't because we combined the light peach and all of these boxes. So you kind of get almost a star-like feature with it. Just kind of cool to pull in. If you were doing, another color option, whether this was a black or like a real dark, something to pop it out, it might be an interesting thing to have. So let me scroll the tracker over all the way. Okay, so we're gonna do pretty much just use the dark pink and the peach with those inversions to complete the row. So we'll be on the large block, so it'll be 10 dark pink, and then we'll do 5 light peach. Another 10. And then the small block, we do 5 light peach. 3 dark pink. And finish with 5 peach. All right. So that's the end of row 16. You can kind of see I have a little bit of a knot. It looks a lot worse than it is just for this red yarn is a little twisted up on itself. But all right. So I'll take a progress photo of it. I really like a lot of this red. I think it's such a pretty color. Um, we'll get, we're starting to see a little bit of that curvature coming in with the heart. So I'm excited. Let me know what you think or if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the next one.